The flash hit his eyes before he even opened the restaurant door. Tobey froze, heartbeat punching his ribs, breath stuck somewhere between panic and anger. People thought Spider-Man feared nothing, but the truth was brutal. Tobey Maguire hated cameras. Not disliked, hated. And that hatred was born the night fame stopped being a dream and became a trap. Back in 2002, when the first Spider-Man exploded in theaters, Tobey walked into stardom like a man stepping into sunlight for the first time, blind, overwhelmed, unprepared. He loved the craft, not the spotlight. But the world didn't care. Paparazzi didn't care. Fans didn't care. Every step he took became a target, every smile a product, every mistake a headline waiting to happen. The breaking point came in Los Angeles outside a charity event. Tobey had gone alone, exhausted, barely holding himself together because earlier that day he'd received a phone call his team told him to push aside until tomorrow. His father had been hospitalized. It wasn't serious yet, but serious enough. Tobey's mind wasn't on glamour, interviews, or posing. He just needed to leave quietly, breathe, and get to his family. Instead, he was swarmed. Cameras slammed in his face, lights exploding like grenades. Someone stepped on his foot. Another grabbed his arm. Another shouted, "Look here, Tobey! Look here!" He tried to stay calm, tried to walk. But one photographer shoved too far, blocking the sidewalk. Tobey tripped on a curb, caught himself, and heard laughter. Real, mocking laughter. Then he heard it. Click, click, click. Not pictures of a hero. Pictures of humiliation. A stumble turned into a meme. A stumble turned into a headline. A stumble turned into Tobey Maguire melts down, even though he hadn't said a word. Later that night, while driving to see his father, he saw the photos already online. Zoomed-in shots of his face twisted in pain. Captions calling him unstable, rude, angry, washed up. At a red light, he stared at his own expression on a phone screen. Vulnerable, exposed, taken without permission, and something inside him cracked. He realized cameras didn't capture moments. They captured weakness, and the world loved it. From that night on, every flash felt like an attack. Every photographer felt like a threat. And every time Tobey heard a shudder, his body remembered the night he stumbled, alone, hurting, and the world laughed instead of helping. People assumed Tobey Maguire avoided attention because he was shy. They were wrong. The truth ran deeper. Every photo felt like a piece of him stolen without consent. And Hollywood only sharpened that fear. After Spider-Man 2, the pressure skyrocketed. Studios demanded he always look perfect. Publicists demanded he smile even when your life is falling apart. Fans demanded he act like Spider-Man everywhere. But Tobey wasn't Peter Parker. He was a quiet, introverted kid who grew up on food stamps and uncertainty. Fame didn't erase those scars. It amplified them. At premieres, photographers shouted insults just to get a reaction. "Hey, Tobey, look less dead." "Smile, Spider-Man, or we'll make you look worse." "Give us something." Angry? Sad? Anything. He hated that game. Hated how they poked emotional wounds for a photo worth a few $100s. The worst moment came in 2004 when he stepped out of a hotel to visit a sick relative. A photographer rushed him, blocking his door, snapping nonstop. Tobey politely asked him to move. The guy laughed and whispered, "Cry for the camera. I'll make it worth it." Tobey walked away, but his hands shook for 20 minutes. It wasn't fear of danger. It was fear of being turned into content. Fear that his private pain would be sold to millions like entertainment. That year, he began avoiding restaurants with patios, stores with open windows, sidewalks with crowds. Not because he was famous, but because being photographed felt like emotional theft. His friends started noticing. When the group went out, Tobey always wore hats pulled low, hoodies, sunglasses, even at night. At first, they teased him. Later, they stopped, because they realized it wasn't a quirk. It was survival. Behind every forced smile was a man terrified of being exposed at his weakest. Behind every "no photos, please" was a memory of someone laughing while he struggled. Behind every tense jaw was the weight of a reputation he never asked for. To the world, he was Spider-Man. To himself, he was a private man trapped in a public life he didn't control. And the camera wasn't a harmless object. It was a reminder of everything fame had taken. The turning point, the moment Tobey's dislike became hatred, happened one summer in New York. He was leaving a small bookstore, one of the last places he felt safe, when an SUV screeched to a stop in front of him. 3 men jumped out, cameras already raised. Tobey stepped back, heart hammering, but they closed in fast. "Smile, Tobey. Look up. Turn your face toward me." He wasn't smiling. He wasn't looking up. He wasn't turning. He was panicking. One man backed him against the brick wall. Another leaned in so close Tobey could smell his cologne. The third laughed and said, "You know the drill, buddy. Make this easy." Something primal kicked in. Tobey shoved the closest camera away. Not violently, just enough to breathe. But the photographer stumbled dramatically, pretending to fall on purpose. Within minutes, headlines exploded. Tobey Maguire lashes out. Tobey attacks photographer. Spider-Man becomes a menace. He hadn't attacked anyone, but the truth didn't matter. The photo of his hand in the air told the story people wanted. He tried explaining, tried defending himself, but publicists advised silence. "Don't fight it," they said. "It'll pass." But it didn't pass. It stuck. The world now saw Tobey as the actor who hates paparazzi. Not a private man. Not a human being. A villain. After that incident, things escalated. Photographers intentionally provoked him, hoping for another headline. They followed him to the gym, to the grocery store, to his daughter's school. Tobey learned to change routes, memorize exits, scan reflections in car windows. He wasn't living. He was hiding. One night, while driving home, he noticed a dark sedan trailing him. Every turn he took, it followed. When he finally stopped, the driver rolled down the window, a paparazzo with a camera on his lap. "No photos tonight," Tobey pleaded. The man grinned. "Then give me something better." A chill ran through him. That was the moment he realized he wasn't being photographed anymore. He was being hunted. Today, Tobey Maguire rarely walks red carpets. Not because he hates Hollywood, because Hollywood never understood him. To survive, he built a small, protected world. A few close friends, quiet routines, private places only he knows. But even now, one flash can pull him back into old wounds. Why does he hate being photographed? Because every photo reminds him of a time someone tried to profit off his pain. Because cameras taught him that strangers valued his breakdowns more than his well-being. Because he learned the hard way that fame isn't love, it's ownership. In private moments, Tobey has admitted to friends that he doesn't hate photographers as people. He hates the culture. He hates the entitlement. He hates how a lens strips away humanity and replaces it with a headline. When he walks down the street and a camera appears, his body tenses on instinct. Muscles tighten, heart speeds up, breath shortens. Not fear of danger, fear of losing control. Because to Tobey, a photo isn't just an image. It's a reminder that the world feels entitled to take pieces of him whenever it wants. Yet he remains kind, quiet, respectful. He never wanted war with paparazzi. He only wanted space to be human. In interviews, when the topic comes up, he smiles gently and says, "I'm just a private guy." But behind that soft answer is a lifetime of unwanted flashbulbs, false narratives, and moments the world never should have witnessed. And that is why Tobey Maguire doesn't like being photographed. Because long before he became Spider-Man, he was a boy who wanted privacy. And long after the world moved on, that boy still lives inside him, flinching at every flash, hoping someday the world remembers he's a person, not a picture.